Good afternoon, everyone. I am Angel from Lima, in Peru, and this is my channel, Reading Means Life. Today, and continuing with the Mario Vargas Llosa challenge, I want to show you his seventh novel, published in 1984, and the English edition that I have here in 1986. It is called The Real Life of Alejandro Mayta. It was based on a real rebellion that took place in the Andean city of Jauja in Peru in May 1962. I understood this novel as a type of confrontation between Mario Vargas Llosa, already converted to neoliberalism, and his previous socialist cause. That is how groups of socialists, communists, Trotskists from Peru are seen as insignificant, atomized, fragmented, having internal fights, and revolutionary just in theory but never in practice. There were pamphlets that never appealed the people, not even the potential target, let's say members of unions, university students, workers. My impression is one of decadence and just very little rays of possibility that end up in the most abject frustration of not reaching power. Alejandro Mayta, the main character, is one of those Trotskists, and he represents very well that lack of power and that richness, in ideas, in theory, that proposes a type of revolution. When he was a child, he was a very correct boy with so much social sensitivity, and everything seemed that he would become a priest. Now, as a mature man and homosexual, he meets the second lieutenant Vallejos in a meeting, in a kind of party, and well, that would mark his sad ending. Vallejos lacked that theory, that rich of theoretical knowledge that Mayta had, but he was a man of action. That impressed Mayta, and he was convinced to travel to Jauja, which had been the first capital of Peru some centuries ago, in order to train, the future revolutionaries. Some local leaders from Jauja, and above all, schoolboys, very young men who, to take Vallejos' words, were, how can I say that, they were potential rebels. They were, let me find the word, they were pure dynamite. Imagine that, okay? So they just needed that type of training. And well, the day of the revolution came. It was, as in many other episodes of Vargas Llosa's novels, tragicomical. They would raid. They would start a raid in the prison. They would take many weapons, many arms. They would conduct a bank raid, take the money. They would try to convince, the people of Jauja to support them, and then escape to the jungle, to the Amazonian region, in which they would start and organize the revolution better. The most important city in that region is Huancayo. However, they miscalculated. Everything turned badly. Some of those men who had promised to take part in the revolution did not appear. The police arrived earlier than they believed, and well, everything ends up as a catastrophe, right? And there are injured and dead included. That's how that socialist revolution ends. And well, the novelist, who is also the narrator, or well, they are kind of confused, wants to reconstruct that story, interviewing some of the characters, among them the ones who had to take part in that revolution, others who said they had not done anything, who were innocent, the humiliated ex-wife of Mayta, the homosexual, and in the end, the real Mayta. The narrator is confused with the author at parts, and at least it is my perception. And he told us that he will write fiction based on reality, changing reality. So definitely, this novel seems to me, as I said at the beginning of this review, a type of confrontation. The author is based on the literary license, okay, of course, and he says he almost tells us not to be confused, okay, between reality and fiction. After all, hasn't the many left parties in Peru being atomized and fragmented? Aren't most Peruvians apolitical? So this is some kind of criticism, not only to leftist organizations, but the whole country, because many of us, or most of us, say what would happen, how it should happen, but not many, or let's say very few, go from theory or from words to action. You know, Peru is as fragmented, or almost as fragmented now as in those decades. You know. Many decades ago, let's say the 1950s, and we are still a country in which few people have too much and a lot of people have too little. So in this, as in other novels, I have detected, I have perceived that opportunity, that every opportunity that the author has to show here and there the lowest sectors of the Peruvian population, especially indigenous or native Peruvians, you know, as people who are in the most abject ignorance. Well, what mainly appeals to me is the style, the almost journalistic style, including interviews, questioning the answers of the interviewees, memories that are lost or kind of confused, that contrast between different versions, and even the fact that the narrator makes us know the technique in terms of narration. The narrator and the author, as I said, are kind of united. They are kind of they make us feel confused. We don't know who is who, right? And they make that fiction reality. They make us admire, you know, the genius that Mario Vargas Llosa has on the one hand, and on the other hand, questioning a reality that can be so 1950s but so 21st century. That's why I really recommend reading this book. Bye bye.